Welcome to this episode of Healing Digestion, where I'm answering the most frequently asked questions about IBS through the lens of functional medicine and ancient Ayurveda. Welcome if you're a new viewer here. I'm Deepa. I'm an allied functional medicine practitioner, Ayurvedic practitioner, and a yoga acharya for more than 25 years. Check out my other video on IBS for a more detailed look into IBS itself. This video is more on frequently asked questions about IBS. What is IBS? IBS itself is a functional disorder of the large intestine, and it can lead to severe symptoms such as pain, bloating, distension, constipation, diarrhea. So again, look at my video on IBS for a much more detailed explanation. How does functional medicine approach IBS? Functional medicine does a very detailed, personalized root cause analysis of each individual to get to the roots of what is causing IBS in that individual. Some of the root causes of IBS can include imbalances in the gut microbiome, suboptimal liver function and detoxification, nutrient deficiency, genetic aspects, certainly quality of sleep, the level of stress, the resilience of the nervous system to stress, food sensitivities and allergies, which can arise also due to imbalances in the gut microbiome, and certain specific detoxification pathways that might not be working as efficiently in that individual. How does functional medicine approach to IBS vary from a conventional medicine approach? Conventional medicine can look more at addressing the symptoms through medical intervention, whereas functional medicine goes into looking at the root causes, and every condition, including IBS, can have a different permutation and combination of root causes, individual to individual. So no two people with IBS will have the same root causes underlying their diagnosis of IBS. What are some of the tests that a functional medicine practitioner may run to assess IBS? These can include gut microbiome analysis through tests like the GI map. It can also be stool testing, very specific testing. It can be liver function tests, genetic tests to assess the function of the liver. It can look at the composition of the gut bacteria in a very unique way to understand, based on the levels and the composition of both the pathogenic bacteria and the beneficial bacteria, to target personalized care. Tests may also include the breath test to assess SIBO, a small intestine bacterial overgrowth, as a cause of IBS itself. And SIBO itself can occur when there is imbalance in the digestive terrain top to bottom. And certainly gut health is very much intertwined to colon health, and all begins even at the oral microbiome, where even the composition and the health of the oral microbiome is now being shown to play a key role in all health, since the doorway of the gastrointestinal tract begins with the oral microbiome. How does Ayurveda look at IBS? Once again, there's a much more detailed explanation in my video on IBS, but some of the root causes of imbalance leading to IBS from an Ayurvedic perspective include imbalance in Agni. And Agni, if it is off balance, can lead to two things. One is that we don't have the ability to break food into the essence portion and the waste portion, and this leads to the formation of ama, or toxins, and these toxins can go and accumulate anywhere in the body. And the next thing is that we don't optimally utilize and absorb nutrients themselves. On a main perspective, aggravated Vata dosha can be a big reason for IBS, and the reason for this is that Vata's home is the large intestine, the colon itself, and any imbalance in Vata dosha will usually begin with the qualities of cold and dry increasing in the home site of the colon and then spreading everywhere else. Many factors that can contribute to Vata imbalance starting at the colon itself can include long-term consumption of dry foods, cold foods, which lead to increased Vata dosha, but they can also be long-term strong laxatives such as senna, high dose of Triphala, and including treatments such as colonics and coffee enemas, which can dry up the colon and increase Vata dosha at the home site. And if Vata dosha imbalances, the colon will dry up, and then it can lead to reduction in good bacteria. It can lead to inflammation, and certainly IBS it can set you up for more challenging problems of the colon, such as Crohn's or colitis. So keeping Vata balance goes a long way in helping to resolve symptoms of IBS. Many times, even those who are aware of Ayurvedic perspective of doshas seem to have a little bit of a push-pull with the word of Vata, and they don't like hearing Vata because it doesn't seem scientific enough. But really, nature and ancient wisdom has blessed us with a plethora of wisdom that we can use to restore balance. And if we take an integrative approach of using the science alongside time-tested principles, which may not be backed up always by research, we will have the best outcome and the best options for each of us. How would Ayurveda look at treating IBS? It all begins with being in sync, in harmony with the earth's diurnal rhythms of light and darkness, sleeping when it's dark, waking when it's light, eating as if we are in harmony with nature, not eating foods that we know intuitively don't work for us and make us feel worse. And Ayurveda always highlights that removing the cause is the first step. No herbs will be effective without removing the cause. No treatment will be as effective without removing the cause. But sometimes removing the cause is all that is needed to restore balance. So it must begin with understanding what's disrupting and removing these causes. And certainly calming down the nervous system with practices like Yoga Nidra and Abhyanga can go such a long way in calming Vata dosha. Panchakarma holds great promise for treatment of IBS, but it must be done under the care of a qualified center, a doctor, a practitioner who understands all the nuances. While there are certainly online versions today, I really caution you and ask that you go to a skilled practitioner, but Panchakarma can certainly restore the balance of Vata in the home site, especially if you've ever used too many practices such as coffee enemas or colonics, which can scrape the colon and make it extremely dry, setting you up for IBS. Can stress and IBS symptoms go hand in hand? 100%. What is being discussed today in science that when we are in a sympathetic dominant fight or flight, our body puts on the back burner the function of digestion, immune function, and reproductive function because the body thinks these are non-essential functions. So which means if you're perpetually in high stress, we'll have weak digestion, poor immunity, and low hormones. This is exactly what Ayurveda spoke about thousands of years ago, where it said Vata and Agni share a bidirectional seesaw relationship, where if Agni is imbalanced, then Vata dosha will be high. And what is high Vata dosha is what science today calls as high cortisol, or the fight or flight state. Vata regulates the nervous system. So high Vata is really a fight or flight state. So when there is fight or flight, Agni will weaken. So Ayurveda got this right way before any research came. And while it's wonderful when research does find these connections, I'd always reiterate that there are multiple things from Ayurveda that can be used safely by us to get balance, even without waiting for that research to catch up. One of the diets used in the treatment of IBS is the low FODMAP diet. So one question I received is, and I received it all the time, even with clients who have completed with me and gone away, is that when they let go of the principles and frameworks which I've taught them for so long, and then they develop something like IBS, I often get a question that, should I put myself on a low FODMAP diet? Probably because it's so widely researched and so widely talked about. So do you need the low FODMAP diet to treat your IBS? And I think this goes really, it is a very nuanced topic. And sometimes people also think that you need to research, and I will bring it back to an ounce of practice is worth a ton of theory. Sometimes time-tested principles and frameworks such as eating in sync with nature are ignored, while people do gravitate towards these extreme diets like the low FODMAP diet. I'm also a qualified bio-individual nutrition practitioner who's absolutely qualified in putting somebody through a multitude of therapeutic diets, including the low FODMAP diet. But I have never needed to do these because I worked on repairing the gut and digestion with principles and frameworks that can sustain, and they're sustainable over time. A low FODMAP diet is not something that should be followed for a long period of time. Therapeutic diets need to be done for a very short time, the window to be assessed by your practitioner who can understand what nutrient deficiencies you're dealing with, how is your digestion, and then while you're put on therapeutic diet, other modalities modalities are used to heal the gut and improve digestion. These diets are not meant to be used long term. I have come across somebody who was on the low FODMAP diet for almost 1.5 years, and this is extremely dangerous because therapeutic diets are restrictive diets. They remove major food groups, and then this leads to us not having a wider variety of nutrients in our diet, and so these are not to be done. Typically, I do see that even those who try the low FODMAP diet don't always get better. I'd really encourage you to, rather than piece together information in such cases, if you do want to try a therapeutic diet, to really work with somebody who's qualified to put you on it, do the repair work, and take you off it very quickly. So some questions related to IBS. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed the video, do click subscribe, and I'll be sure to answer any other questions around IBS if you just put your comments below.